Okay.
No. All right. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? I'll start on my screen. Ryan.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Melody.
Aye.
And Trent is an aye. Budget hearing, the proposed 2021 and 22 budget.
Okay, I will share my screen just because I like you guys to look at something. Ooh, sorry. All right, and so on May 19th, the Budget Committee approved the proposed budget as it was presented in for the 21-22 budget. And this shows the what they approved it at for the fund level. And they also approved the tax rate per thousand, and furthermore approved the general bonded debt obligations. As of today, there's no changes in it, and in the board meeting, there will be a resolution to adopt it at this level that's presented in your board packet. And the same with the same taxing levels as presented before. And there is no changes to that. So I guess if there's further comment on the proposed budget or to be adopted or approved budget.
And Christy, I didn't see any public comments submitted. So at this point, unless I'm wrong, we can adjourn the budget hearing and move on.
There were no comments submitted.
Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn the budget hearing?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. I'll go across the screen. Ryan.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Melody.
Aye.
And Trinidad's an aye. All right, budget meeting is adjourned, and we will now move to call to order. We've already done the Pledge of Allegiance for our normal school board meeting, so we'll go to agenda approval.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, and I will go across my screen. Ryan.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Melody.
Aye.
And Trin is an aye. All right, so moving to visitors to address the board. This is a time for public comment on non-agenda items. The board will not take any immediate action, but will refer concerns to the superintendent and ask him to report to the board. We appreciate you keeping comments to 3 minutes per individual or 5 minutes if you are representing a group of patrons. Please note, under Oregon revised statutes, personnel concerns will not be discussed in a public meeting. If you have any concerns with school district personnel, please schedule a meeting with the superintendent. We have 3 individuals that wanted to make comments tonight. So we will start with you, Mr. Willoughby. You have the floor.
All right, thank you. I'm Kane Willoughby, former student of St. Helens School District. Today I make a statement on behalf of local organizations, We the People, Columbia County, and national organizations, Parents' Rights and Education. My statement is regarding the concerns of biased political views, ideologies, and critical race theory that has been found being promoted to our students within St. Helens School District. 1 month ago, a local resident and parent posted a concern coming from the St. Helens School District webpage involving these biased political views, ideologies, and a one-sided racial agenda. The website had articles and links that promoted the defunding of police, along with the demand that former President Trump never can run for political office again. These links that were reposted onto the district page were very easy for me to find. On blacklivesmatter.com and Resolutions Northwest, both pages that the district had reposted promoted a biased ideology to defund the police and a biased political view to ban a former president from ever running again. These 2 statements alone should not be promoted or shared by St. Helens School District to the students of this community. It can be misleading to students that don't yet have an opinion and can be harmful for students that feel differently about both situations. By law, public schools are to remain politically neutral and unbiased. We the people, Columbia County, and Parents' Rights in Education both oppose the promotion of any anti-American or Marxist ideology by government official or government schools that are funded by citizen tax dollars. I, as a Black man, would rather be told that I can do anything in life rather than be told I'm oppressed in America and that the white individual next to me is superior or is inherently racist because of the color of his or her skin. White people are now being judged based on the color of their skin, which is racist by definition. On the district website, I saw a chart that listed the pyramid of white supremacy, essentially showing some things that a white supremacist would do towards a Black person. Some statements included hate crimes, burning symbols, racial profiling, tokenism, and much more. Most of these things have been done towards myself by people who support BLM. The content that is on your page is very harmful to young students. It can and has caused people I know to be hurtful towards myself and others. Black people like me get called whitewash, bigot, coon, Nazi, and many other horrible things. It is your responsibility to know this is going on if you're promoting it in your school. Stop making young white children think that they need to feel sorry for every Black person they see, because not all of us feel oppressed. We all go through different hardships, so promoting and sharing to our students that white people are superior because of the color of their skin is racist and it is wrong. That is not your job. Teaching social agenda is not your job. In the article, what it really means when you say all lives matter, the St. Helens School District shared to our students uh, this article that states all lives matter. I've come to describe this as a collective gaslighting coming from the white community. This is being shared to our students. Are you going to advocate to them that there are a number of Black individuals that don't support BLM and feel like all lives do matter? Does it not fit the agenda? 14% of Black Americans either don't support BLM or are undecided. When it comes to Black Lives Matter, there are Black people that don't support the movement and organization because of how they've been treated. From experience, if you are Black and don't support defunding the police, you are most likely going to get harassed by supporters of the Black Lives Matter movement. This happened to me shortly after I graduated from St. Helens High School, and it came from classmates online. This is just one reason why I feel it is harmful to promote and share these pages with such biased topics to these students. If you stand for all the students of St. Helens School District and support each and every one of them, it would be beneficial to not promote or share the content on your district page. Social agenda should not be taught in our school system. It is considered indoctrination and is taking advantage of students who haven't made up their mind on how they feel and what they believe in. A few weeks ago, I was told by a resident of St. Helens that they contacted St. Helens School District and were told that some of the information posted on the district Black Lives Matter page may have been a mistake and that they may have not known about everything in the content. I feel like that is even worse because it's the district's job to know what they are sharing with their students. It's the district's job to know if the content is school appropriate. On behalf of our organizations and the many residents in St. Helens who would like their voices heard, I ask that you take the Black Lives Matter page off the district website due to the misunderstanding of content and biased social and political agenda. We ask that you support all opinions and ideas and leave biased resources out of our school. We ask that you eliminate the critical race theory in this district and support all Black citizens and not just the ones that align with certain agendas. Where is the content from Black voices that feel differently, like Candace Owens, Leo Terrell, Brandon Tatum, Bryson Gray, the Hodge twins, and many more? You need to stop pushing a one-sided agenda and stop taking advantage of the students of St. Helens School District. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Willoughby. And just for clarification, I did send you an email indicating that the pages that you had indicated you had some concerns with have been removed, correct?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, yes. So those pages have been removed and we appreciate you sharing your perspective here.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments or any follow-up? Okay, thank you, Mr. Willoughby. We appreciate your time and we definitely appreciate you participating. Moving to our next comments speaker is Hannah Hayduke.
Okay. Good evening, members of the St. Helens School Board. I'm Hannah Hayduke, an upcoming senior at the high school. First, I'd like to thank you all for all you do to keep our schools on track. It's a heavy task made harder by the pandemic, but you've managed quite well. Next, I come to you with an issue faced by many high schoolers like myself. Self-driven, determined to succeed, goal-oriented scholars. Many not only excel in academics, but also manage clubs and sports. These kids have bright futures and require the correct steps in the present to set them up for success and for them to gain the most from their lives. I ask you to not only consider, but to take action in organizing a career prep program at St. Helens High School. A program like this would offer classes for college credit, classes focused on specific career paths for students to explore interests, and give each individual a chance to get a head start on their path after high school, no matter what that path looks like. They will also save money for students as they will help them earn college credits to count towards their degree while they're still in high school. Not only will these classes benefit the future of the student, but will also help challenge the student now and encourage them to push themselves to their best form. These programs are seen in Hillsborough high schools, many online programs, and most Washington schools. A program like Running Start would improve the experience and education of St. Helens students. They would be better prepared for a successful future. It's essential to recognize these outstanding students and give them individuals opportunities of success. For students like myself, we are missing chances to grow and learn simply because St. Helens High School is lacking challenging classes. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any follow-up from the board? I know Mr. Stockwell has a follow-up for us, but does anybody else on the board have any follow-up? Okay, Scott, would you like to follow up?
Sure, I can once I unmute myself. Thank you, Hannah, for sharing. You talk about a Running Start program, and that's actually, we've been working on that for a bit, but it takes some time to put those things in place. So I've been in communication with somebody at PCC named Beth Mollenkamp, who kind of coordinates that. They've actually just added a new hire to help work with schools and school districts. We'd really like to have a program, and we're moving in that direction. So a student can graduate from high school with a high school diploma and an associate's degree at the same time. So that's what we're working towards. We have OMIC out in Scappoose. So PCC built or is completing their campus there, which primarily is for tech. But we advocated that they add some classrooms so we could have like a 2+2 program, something very similar. I'm also working with a gentleman by the name of Michael Crandall, and he's the administrator in charge of Beaverton School District's early college program. And so we're working with him to see, the pitfalls and areas that we can make sure we don't run into as we open up our program. Our hope is within the next couple of years, we'll be able to offer it. I wish we could tell you next year we'll have it up and running, but that's not realistic, but we will continue to work to find ways to add credit, college credit for all students. So I just wanted to let you know that we are working in that direction. And I think that's a great idea. It's something that we're striving for.
Thank you.
And thank you for participating. We really appreciate it. Okay, our third speaker sent us a list of questions earlier and didn't want to be here presently. So I will read the question. He did ask that the board provide some perspective if you wish. So I'll read the first question and then open it up for response and then just go down the line. So the first question is, and this is from, oh Lord, apparently I've missed his name. Let me double check that. Mr. Hayduke, but I don't have his first name in my list here. Scott, can you?
It might be Paul Trin.
Paul Hayduke. Okay, sorry, I neglected to put that in my notes here. So Paul Hayduke. So the first question is the school board happy with the academic curriculum, the St. Helens High School graduation rates? Do they see any room for improvements? So I'll open it up for any comment on that.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So for me on the curriculum at the high school, after having this whole last year and now realizing how many changes there have been and how many things that we could do different, both in class and technologically, and even being able to help our kids to even continue to do classes even at nighttime on their own towards college ahead of time, along with working with us. I think that there's definitely room for us to make some big changes going into both next year and the year after for how we do, especially our high school, but even maybe for everybody. So I think it's definitely a time period for us to all look at all the different kinds of ideas we could come up with out there.
I agree. I feel like that's what I've been advocating for as well. A lot more choices and a much
You seem to.
Kelly, you're talking, but you're unmuted, but we cannot hear you. Cannot hear you. Now we can hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Now we can.
Yes. I don't know how much I need to repeat. I'm sorry. Just more choices is what I've been advocating for as well.
I would like to say, like what Kelly said, more choices. And I know we were starting to redo our curriculum before COVID hit. And also about our graduation rates, I'm always for improving it until we get to that magic number of 100%. But, I've seen every year we've gone up. So I'm always up for improving our graduation rates.
There's a distinct difference between more choices and different choices. We have a limited staff. We have a limited faculty. I know that there's lots of ways of doing different things, but you can't just have an infinite number of courses with 2 kids in a class. So there may be some changes. Maybe we need to change some of the things that we're doing. And that's always a time for reflection at the end of every year. And one student's desires may be different from another's. I don't think that you can be all things to everyone, but more variety or more varieties for delivery, certainly that's one of the things that I've been asking about is how do we deliver our content? In other words, if a kid wants to take 12 credits instead of 8 in a year, how can they do that and still attend school in the daytime and attend school at night or do work on the weekends or whatever they do? But I don't have the answer of how you do that. Those are options to delivery. But because a student accelerates fast and maybe we give them the opportunity so they can, okay, I've finished all my graduation requirements in 3 years. Then do we owe them a year of college? I don't believe so. I think what we do is we offered them a high school education and they got it and they're willing to go off to college then at the end of their 3rd year if that's their choice. But I don't really think it's a district responsibility necessarily to say, oh, you finished up your high school in 3 years, now we're going to give you a year of college and figure out a way to do that. We are a high school and we need to keep that thoroughly in mind, what our job is and do that. At the same time, I don't mind having college credit, co-credit classes, and that's going to take some effort and coordination between Portland Community, Portland State, OCE, and all the other ones at OCE. Well, I'm just showing my age there, Western Oregon or whatever. But it does take take some coordination effort, and that doesn't happen overnight. And it takes a willingness on the part of two agencies. We could be very enthused about having Portland community classes come out here. They have to be enthused about bringing them. And we can't force that card. So there's more to the story than just, how come you're not offering more college classes? Beaverton does. In Longview, certainly they go to Clark College or to LCC because it's across from the high school. They just go over there and take classes. We don't have that convenience here. So there is a complex issue, and we're working to solve as much as we can of it.
Thank you. From my perspective, so I think I'm never satisfied. I mean, if we were satisfied, we probably wouldn't be doing the work we do. I know that we are making tremendous strides in our curriculum adoption, whereas before there wasn't a cycle for that. There wasn't funding put into that, and we have made concerted efforts to ensure that we get an adoption cycle and we can update the curriculum as we go. I think there's always room for improvement, and we should never be stagnant in that. When I got here and when I started on the board, our graduation rates were not where they are at now, and there is a positive trend line. But as Ryan said, until it hits 100%, that positive trend line isn't done. And I think that, no matter what we do, we have to continue to strive towards that number and offer more choices, find more ways that fit within our budget and within the expectations of the community to meet every student's needs. Doesn't matter what their career path is or their post high school interests are. I want to make sure that we continue to focus on ways to ensure that they're college and career ready, as in our mission. So that's where my perspective is. And Scott, do you want to follow up?
Sure. You mentioned pretty much some of the things that I would say. We're always working hard to improve delivery of curriculum as well as updating our curriculum. And the last couple of years, we've restarted our curriculum cycle where you research the standards, and this is kind of a semantic piece. But when you talk about what our district curriculum is, it's really the state gives us standards, and that's the curriculum, and how we deliver it and the resources we use to teach it are the materials that we buy. And so a lot of people refer to that as our curriculum. So the textbooks, the online programs, but they all have to align to the state standards in order for us to award credit in those areas. So we pull together a district-wide team, review those standards, do research on how best to teach those standards, share that with staff, do some training, and then select the best resources that support teaching to those standards. And when we do that, we develop best practices and continue to improve instruction. And so we've done that with social studies. We're in the process of doing that right now with English language arts, which is a huge task to take on because it encompasses quite a bit. But I would agree also with the board members that you're never satisfied or you wouldn't be doing the work, and you always need to be on a continuous improvement cycle, and that's what we try to do. And when we make mistakes, then we fix those mistakes and improve from it. So the graduation rate, I think it was around 72% at St. Helens High School 5-6 years ago. The last non-COVID year, our graduation rate was at 87%. So we've made some growth, but that I would agree 100%. When you don't have all kids graduating, then you're not done yet. So work to do, but I think it's good work and we're up to the challenge.
Okay, let's a couple more questions here. The next question, which we've already kind of touched on, is there a running start program aside from Promise Oregon available to seniors who have completed their SHHS academic requirements as juniors? Does the board have any comments on that?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to comment that we did have our Shiva basically opened up for anybody that wanted to keep working even throughout the summer. And those students are being allowed right now to get ahead. As they feel it's always been the case, but maybe I'm wrong. Most of the kids that I've worked with through Aspire have moved through the classes and the years as quickly as they wanted to, when they wanted to.
And I don't think that if a student, I think if they hurry up and they're ready to graduate, they can graduate. But very often on these classes that we're talking, or this program we're talking about on the Head Start or Early Start thing, students they can start taking classes as early as their sophomore year. And maybe you take a college credit English class instead of or standard English class, you take a college credit US history class. And I'm hoping that those things will be available to our students. We do that in math. We do that in AP classes. So there's no reason why we can't add. I think Writing 121 was a high school class at one point. So we're doing a good measure of that. But that's very different to me if a student is taking more challenging classes as they go through than if they've finished everything that are the requirements for graduation and then expecting us to find a way to let them select and choose and take a college education. I don't think that's our job. I think that's beyond our scope. That's just my personal opinion.
I am excited about one program, and it kind of is right in between both of the questions. And that's, as we're building the new high school, we'll have a medical career tech program. We're already beginning to purchase the equipment through the bond, and it should be a really exciting step into the medical field. And when students graduate from high school, they'll receive their CNA license. So that's kind of the first step moving towards, healthcare and that type of thing. So I think that's exciting. There'll be college credit tied to that as well, and kind of the gateway to the healthcare system. So.
And we do have that with our CTE programs. There's quite a few certificates that you can get when you graduate, before you graduate.
And something else that you already have too, that Martine worked so hard on, is pretty much most of the kids that are coming through there, and especially right now when there is such a need for childcare, when they're leaving through there, they have everything they need to go into that field immediately. So, and plus extra training to help add on to their resume. So anybody interested in that direction, or going into even looking into being a teacher or something else later, has a big head start that direction too. So
That's an excellent point, Melody. And we really have found if we can grow our own staff members, they tend to be pretty committed to our community. And we're hoping to expand the early childhood program. So when kids graduate, they're able to work possibly as a instructional assistant. And also there's some programs that are popping up around the state where school districts partner with universities and help students work through their college program to become a teacher, and then they come back and teach in your district. And so we're working on that as well, and I think that would be a great benefit to our community.
Ryan, do you have anything before I go?
I think we covered it all.
Okay. My final piece is much like the first one, we're never satisfied with what we do, and we continue to look at what we can offer, what's feasible, what's not feasible. And certainly, I think as we look at the acceleration of young individuals that go into the workforce, we want to make sure that they're as prepared as possible. And certainly that part fits inside of our missions and our values. And so as we continue to look at what programs may or may not be available, we have a pretty robust system already, but there's always room for improvement. All right, so the next question is, have the students, specifically seniors, been polled on their vision of the future of St. Helens High School?
I guess I could answer that one. The answer is yes, multiple ways. I'm not sure if we've got every senior, but I do know we pull students for our strategic plan. I know that there was a couple surveys that went out this year, midway through the year, and at the end of the year, surveying students and families about instruction and how we're doing at the high school. So we do work at that. I know that we've done some interviewing and empathy interviews, surveys with our ninth graders, and I know that we've had some pretty good discussions about having kind of bookend surveys where we survey freshmen and then we survey seniors and see if those have changed, comparative data. I think what might be helpful is for the board to review some of that information that we got from the freshmen, and I'll see if I can get a hold of that for maybe one of our summer retreats to look at. I think it'd be good.
You
I
know,
know
so, oh, go ahead.
Trent and I have always advocated for like the town hall style freshman year and then a senior year sort of thing to be concluded with our summer board retreats, just for more information, because we do want to hear student feedback. It's really valuable.
Yeah, and something that I was talking earlier about, but I was kind of even denoted it to something that I now remember that we've all seen at school board conferences is on the last day or the end of the first day sometimes, we have that part where there's tables in the room and you can pick like 3 different topics that you would like to go listen to, and we all switch from table to table for something that we'd like to listen to. And I was thinking, whether you want to do it at the freshman level or the junior level, or even clear back in 8th grade before you even get to high school, that we maybe put together a conference time period that all of our kids of a certain grade especially could actually come and go to different tables with different local employers and also maybe employers outside of our district, where they could go, even if it was only for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, to different tables to learn about different jobs and different things that are out there that they might not even be aware of, both local and far away. And it might be a good way for kids to have a real eye-opening day for all kinds of options out there that they might not have even be aware that are existing anywhere. So,
Like a trades fair?
well, not really. I was thinking about when we have them at the conference and we go from table to table to learn about different topics or things that schools are teaching in their schools. So the same idea is doing it for our kids too, for introducing to them different jobs and ideas out there for occupations that they might not have ever thought of. So.
That's cool.
Any other comments on this topic before we move to the next one? Okay, so the final question was, as a mentor of the Aspire program, Ms. Chisholm is outstanding. Does she have all the resources she needs to prepare students academically for college? Are the academic counselors adequately staffed to help students prepare for college? I understand Ms. Ross is the only senior counselor. Are more senior counselors needed in the opinion of the school board?
I'll take this one. I always advocate for counselors. I think that we could have 100 counselors. It would be really nice to have every student have a mom in the school, essentially. Ms. Chisholm is amazing. I work with her in different capacities in volunteering, and I love our college and career readiness program and the Aspire program and what's going on there. So I would always advocate for more, but I think we're doing a pretty good job, but we're also in COVID. So we've been doing a lot of things through a lot of hurdles, but I think we'll come back strong, and those departments are strong.
Yeah, I know we've added three counselors to the school district in the last four years, as well as 2 social workers, and continuing to look to add. And we move beyond kind of counselor specific. You could even consider the full-time teachers that we have in each one of our elementary schools that are focused on social emotional learning as part of that, counseling support system. It doesn't necessarily align with, academic college readiness, but we do have other staff members that we hire within the high school that support the work that Ms. Chisholm's doing and others to help prepare kids for that next step.
Any other comments on that question? And I would agree with Kelly. I would always love to see more counseling and social emotional supports. And as our budgets continue to wax and wane, we do what we can with the resources that we have. But I know that what we have done, they've done some amazing work, and I really appreciate all of the hard work and all of the care and diligence that they put in for our students. Okay, so that was the end of the questions, and it occurs to me, well, I kind of made a passing reference to it at the beginning. I just want to kind of clarify some things since we did some different things with our speaking here. So Mr. Hayduk did submit those questions previously, like a week ago. And so that was why we chose to answer those in this venue, as opposed to normally not necessarily doing a Q&A in the public speaking section. So I just want to kind of clarify that before we move forward. So with that said, we are now moving to 4.0 consent agenda. The board on an individual basis prior to the meeting has reviewed all material. All financial reports are available for review by the public in the business office. The board considers consent agenda items routine business and will be enacted by the board in one motion. There will be no discussion on these items at the time the board votes on the motion unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent agenda.
Move that we accept the consent agenda as stated.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, my screen order's changed. So Ryan.
Aye.
Bill.
All right.
Melody.
You said Melody or Kelly?
Said Melody.
I was saying aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
And Jen is an aye. Moving on to 5.0 new business ASB public relations report. Ms. Hayduk, we get the pleasure of one more report from you.
Okay. I'm sharing screen. Yes. Okay, you can see it.
Yes.
We can see it.
Okay. ASB report. So first we had graduation. There was a community cruise on June 9th and it was successful. And then the seniors had their barbecue. And then during graduation, the optional stage walk, we posted some leadership members, other class presidents and such around the border just for security. And then we had a really nice optional stage walk and some award presentations, and then a really successful drive-up diploma presentation the next day. And these are posters and pictures. Prom, we did have a prom down at the waterfront. It was $15 at the door, $10 pre-order for tickets. And that was just this last Saturday. Lots of fun. There wasn't a huge turnout, but there was enough that it was good. And it, didn't end up being awkward or anything. Really good photographers, really good DJ, lots of food and drinks. It's a good time. Our band and color guard and choir. So band is having their firework fundraiser at Walmart on June 28th. Choir received a superior rating at their state competition, which is the highest level they can receive. And then wind ensemble also received superior. And then there's drumline auditions and color guard auditions this month. Drama, the SHHS drama presented a fall play or a radio play. And then luckily they were able to release a movie, a comedy murder movie. And it's available for viewing on YouTube. And then maybe it's not last, I don't know. Lion Crew applications were sent out so that the upperclassmen can help the incoming freshmen. And then the training is September 3rd, I believe. And then St. Helens High School leadership received gold recognition, which is the highest form of the award. And so that was really cool. And that's all.
That is awesome. Thank you so much, Hannah. Really appreciate your reports. and lots of good news. I'm glad the prom came off without much of a hitch. I was excited to hear. Did you have a good time? Were you at the prom?
I did go. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Good. Did you like the venue there? I'm wondering if that might be a place in the future.
Yeah, it was super cool. Yeah, so there's lots of space and it wasn't in the hot, stinky gym.
I like it.
So I just want to say thank you, Hannah. You've done a wonderful job all year, and I truly appreciate the time and the effort that you put in to give us wonderful reports. And I wish you the very best in your future. And in regards to the prom, I want to give special props to Kelly and the parents that helped to really drive that forward. I think it was really special and important to have that event, and I was really thankful that it was able to happen. So thank you. All right, so moving on to 5.2, policy updates. So we have the third reading of the CBA qualifications and duties of the superintendent. The board was given kind of the proposed language on that. Does anybody want to have any discussion about the proposed language?
Would you like me to pull that up, or has everybody had a chance to look at the changes? Would that be helpful?
I'd like to look at it one more time if that's okay.
Yeah, I can pull it up. It's still in the drafty form, but I can share with you. Okay, can you see it?
We can see it now.
Now I can.
Now you can. So these were some of the recommendations from last go around. To start off with qualifications, move successful experience as an educational leader and administrator, and then followed by a current Oregon administrative license, putting the emphasis on successful experience as a leader and administrator. And then really no changes to anything else until you get to the responsibilities. And this is one that, Bill and I worked on, and kind of a focus on, well, our discussion that seemed like leadership skills were left out, and it was mainly about management skills. And I like these suggestions, and I think this captures some of the thoughts that Bill had. So leadership responsibilities: leads the district in creating safe and exclusive culture, sustained environment, leads in aligning goals, decisions, actions, and visions and missions of the district, leads in developing a shared vision for high quality, inquiry-driven, culturally, linguistically responsive teaching and learning for every student, leads in ensuring equitable learning opportunities for all students, support their social, emotional, and academic development, leads improve of teaching practices by supporting teacher learning and growth grounded in self-reflection, goal-setting, conversation, focus, observation, feedback, professional development, leads the district team in establishing measurable goals for district climate, academic development, social emotional development, builds authentic relationships with all members of the school and local community, fosters a culture in which all stakeholders see themselves as a team of learners and problem solvers with agency and accountability for student learning. So that's really the added piece. And then moving performance responsibilities down below. And these are the same as what they were, I believe. You can see my copy is a little bit choppy. The final change was represents the district in their relations with other schools, systems, social institutions, business firms, government agencies, and the general public, rather than represents the district in dealings, because dealings felt a little bit cold, maybe even calculated, So those are the changes. Discussions, thoughts? Do I need to leave it up, or can I take it down now?
Oh, thanks for showing that again to remind me.
Yeah.
So any discussion or thoughts on some of the changes now that we've gone through a couple different iterations?
I think it gives a point of direction for the future. What at least this board's expectation is in any future administrative type hires that we see that leadership is paramount and that their administrative duties are expected. There's a difference.
Any other comments?
I appreciate the work that's been done on there. I think it looks much better and makes everyone say, wow, you really do all of that? But we know Scott's doing a lot.
We didn't disallow him delegating some of that.
And I'll follow up with Kelly and say thank you for the work that was put in there. I think that it's absolutely the right direction to go, and is much more reflective of our expectations of the work that a superintendent does, and the recognition that there is much more to this than just the day-to-day operations and administrative tasks that comes along with that position. All right, moving on to 5.3, St. Helens School District 502 Business Report.
Okay, and so in the report, the main item is a resolution to adopt the 21-22 budget and making appropriations. And as I said in the budget hearing, there was no changes from the approved to what we're bringing forward to the board to adopt. Do you guys have that all in your packets, or do I need to share screen it?
We have it in our packet, but it's in digital form. So when you pull it up, it's actually refreshing our memory, or we're able to follow along with you.
Let me do that.
Thank you.
Oops. Okay, over here. All right, so I tried to make this large for people that don't have two screens, but here's a resolution. The total amount of the budget is $121,598,783. And the resolution, when it's read through adoption, all of this does need to be read. And you can always say as presented in this section here in case we miss something. That way, legally we're covered. But this is the breakdown by general fund, special revenues, debt service, and capital projects. And then the other important feature when it is adopted is that imposing the tax at the tax rate of $5.0297 per thousand of assessed value, and the $2,824,085 for the GO bond debt service. And that pretty much covers it. Any questions?
Doesn't sound like any questions, but I did want to say thank you very much for helping us and participating in this process. And you've done a wonderful job, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right, moving to 5.4, LCRB contract review. Mr. Plan, you have the floor.
So as you guys know, with the bond program, we're going to be putting portables at the high school in the D building parking lot. And to do that, we need a contractor. We published an RFP. The low bid was Easy Systems. And so we just need approval to get the contract out to them so we can get that work done. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right, 5.5, superintendent report. Mr. Stockwell.
Yeah, I have a few things, but first we need to start with Northwest Regional ESD Board Zone 4 position election. And I know you all received the candidates in there. ESD boards are elected differently than school boards, so they're separated out by zones. Our zone is up for election, and the way they're elected is by school boards. So what we need to do is share the names, and then in the action item, coming up, you'll vote for the candidate that you are going to support as a board. So we've got 3 candidates. Tony Erickson is the incumbent. Jim Hellman and Benjamin Pelster are the 3 candidates. I don't know much more about them than you do from what's on your pamphlet that was given to you. I do know Tony is in Scappoose, runs a aerospace or airplane company. I think they make seats and other manufactured parts. He's done quite a bit in the community, done internships, those types of things. Jim Hellman is administrator in the Classic High School District. He's a pretty good man. I've worked with him a bit. And then Benjamin Pelster, I wish I could speak on his behalf, but I do not know Mr. Pelster. So that's about all the information I can give you on those folks. Okay. I'd ask for questions, but I probably couldn't answer them. All right, let's move on. I did have 3 things I wanted to touch on: bond timeline, summer school, and then reopening of schools. So I'm going to share a few items. The first one, I'll start off with our bond timeline. And when I share this, I want to share the caveat that this is a really drafty timeline. And right now the timeline is 33 months, and we're working to squeeze it down to try to get it more like 24 months. I'm going to show you the current one. So when you see that, I want you to know that we're still working on shrinking it down, but I want to give you the best information that we have at this time. So I'll share my screen. And what I've done is I went through and highlighted some specific areas. Find it here. I thought I had it up and ready to go, but you have to bear with me for a moment. Hopefully. Just 1 second here. There we go. All right. Oh, it doesn't want to let me share it. Can you see it?
It is very large, but I can kind of see it.
Okay, well, I wanted to make it large so we could see it. So
That is large.
everybody can see it. So again, remember, this is a 33-month schedule. Our goal is to get it more like a 24-month schedule, but this is the most current schedule. I've highlighted important dates. So 100% CD package due. So that's construction drawings. That's November of 18 or November 18th of this coming year. Permits, we hope to have our final permits issued January of 22. We do have multiple other permits, as you can see, that will have issued, so we can begin doing some work, but the majority or the bulk of the main permits will be finalized on around the 22nd, mid to late January. An important date is the balance of work bid award, which will be January 11th. That's the date that we'll have a better understanding of exactly how much the construction costs, because it'll go out for bid. And then it'll also let us know how much more we can add on from our ad alternates. Building A, so we've got building A, we're moving out. We have to be out of building A in November, and we've adjusted that timeline from September to November so we could have more time using our facilities and gyms during the fall sports season. And also we're watching prices in timber or lumber and steel plateau and drop a bit. We're hoping that we'll have some more favorable prices come November when we're ready to go out to bid. I think the one date that many people are interested in, this is a demo of the main portion of building A. That's around January 7th. It's stated here the 7th, but as I said, this is a draft, so it could be a couple weeks later. I doubt that it would be much earlier, but that's the target. These are all target dates. Scrolling down, building A, tentatively ready for classes in May of 23, around May 9th, the first part of May. Building B, same, the north half of building B, and I'll explain how we're phasing it here brief in a moment. North half of building B is on the same timeline you can see as building A. So November, we need to be out of there. That's why we're putting our portable classrooms. And then north half of building B ready for classes in May of 23. Building B and C, we need to be out May of 23. You can see here's the transition between the two phases. Classes will be ready May of 24 for building B and C, the lower half of B, that is. And then D will be May as well, and site improvements during that second phase, as well as the add alternate programs here, with our final completion of the entire project projected to be May of 24. And as I said, that's around a 33-month timeline, and we're working really hard to try to squeeze that down into more like a 24-month timeline. And hopefully we'll see, I'll give you updates when we get those. The other item that I wanted to share was the current school concept. Everybody can see that? So if you look at this, right, here's our gym space, our commons, we've got our auditorium, our counseling office. When we're doing the remodel, if you can kind of envision a line going straight through here. So this north half of the building and all of building A will be built at the same time. This southern half and building C and D will be renovated together. So the bottom half is second, the top half is first at the same time as building A. Also included in the second phase are our fields, our field renovations. So that is our timeline. And again, we're hoping to squeeze it down, but that's where we're at this point. Any questions on that?
So is the office back up there at the top?
Here?
Yeah.
No, it's still here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This I believe is shifted over the health center. It's up here.
Okay.
And here is the early childhood program.
Okay.
Yeah. The last thing that I want to talk about, and I'll leave this up while I'm speaking so you can look at it, and I can send you a copy. I think I've shared this before, but I know we get so many emails. It's always nice to get a fresh, updated one. So reopening schools tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we'll get the most updated Ready School Safe Learners for next year coming to us from ODE. So I'll be sitting in a presentation hearing what they have to say. What we do know is that the intent is we'll be returning to school in the fall, 5 days a week for full days, which we're all excited about. There's a hold harmless clause that we talk about and will continue to be in the Ready School Safe Learning. And that's essentially, we're not going to hold kids accountable for the pandemic. And so we will do everything we can to help them graduate, help them get the credits and classes that they want, and not hold a student back if for whatever reason they weren't able to access learning like we had hoped, or distance learning just didn't work for them, we don't retain them. We don't tell them they can't graduate. It's up to us and our responsibility to figure out a way to help close the gap essentially for them. And so that I think is an important piece. The final part is that nothing has been decided or on whether we'll be wearing masks. I know that's a big question that many of our community has. What I understand right now is that we'll be following CDC guidelines, and I keep hearing that there'll be more local control. So we'll find out more tomorrow at 4, and then the final plan comes out, I believe, the middle of July, which isn't very helpful when we're planning to open school in September, but we've gotten used to these types of timelines, and we've got teams together doing their best. I did want to share one final thing with summer school. We have a number of summer schools programs going. We have our regular program, Camp Achieve, at the elementary level. As I understand it, we have upwards of 160 to 200 students enrolled in that. And then we have our Riverhawk summer school camp, and then camps at the high school level with a variety of different programs. One of the programs at the high school, which I think is unique, is through summer funding, summer school dollars. A couple of our CTE teachers are purchasing an electric forklift, and part of the class will be learning how to drive a forklift and getting certified. They'll earn high school credit for that, as well as get a certificate on how to work a forklift. So little things like that make for some pretty exciting programs. I did want to share, this is our kind of our raw summer school list, but I wanted to read you off some of the programs that we have planned. The problem, as I've shared, is that we're just now getting the money and the planning, and so our staff are working really hard to pull these off. We should have by the end of this week registration for our enrichment programs, and they'll be out by Friday. So here are some of the camps and enrichment programs for students, particularly kindergarten through 8th grade. We've got a swim camp. We'll have a 3D digital design and printing program. We're going to have a youth football camp, baseball camp, hands-on science and arts program, home economics program. We'll do some academics like fact fluency, and also some fun things like an intro to disc golf. A Build It program, fun with phonics, reading made simple, summer band camp, and all of this has been made possible. Robotics camp, a golf camp, tennis camp, track and field, robotics wonder camp, so soccer, lots of really unique opportunities for students in our district to take advantage of. We're hoping we'll get lots of takers, but there may be some low class numbers for kids to get almost one-on-one attention working with robotics and some other things. So that stuff will be coming out Friday, and we're gonna promote it as best we can. But this funding comes from the state when they approved the summer school funds, and our district is really doing a great job of stepping up, in particular our teachers who are just wrapping up the school year and trying to put together programs for kids. And I think it's just a good testament to the staff that we have and what we're trying to do in our community. So that is what I have for my report.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? All right, 6.0, visitors to address the board. Since we have our remote stuff, we don't have that currently. So moving to the next one, 7.0, action items. 7.1, approve policy CBA, qualifications and duties of the superintendent.
I'd like to move to approve the policy as updated.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, I'll go in order of my screen. Ryan.
Aye.
Bill,
Right.
Melody, Melody, you look like you. There you go.
Sorry, I'll just disappeared for a minute. I,
I think that's an I. Is that correct?
She's watching Frozen.
I clearly.
there we go. It just keeps disappearing, going away.
Okay, so that's an I on Melody. Kelly.
I'm an I as well.
And Trin is an I. Okay, moving to 7.2, resolution 2020 to 2021. Number 12, resolution adopting the budget and making appropriations. So whoever gets this task gets to read the document. So who's up for it? It's a whole lot of pointing at a screen, but that point doesn't go anywhere. Hearing no volunteers, I have it up on my screen. Resolution number 12. Resolution adopting the budget. Be it resolved that the Board of St. Helens School District number 502 hereby adopts the budget for fiscal year 2021 and 2022 in the total amount of $121,598,783. This budget is now on file at the district's administrative office located at 474 North 16th Street in St. Helens, Oregon. Resolution making appropriations. Be it resolved that the amounts shown below are hereby appropriated for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021 for the following purposes as stated on the form. General Fund, instruction, $17,170,342. Support services, $12,789,846. Facilities acquisitions, $115,122. Transfers, $233,830. Debt service, $178,079. Contingency, $400,000 for a total of $30,887,220. Special Revenues Fund, instruction, $6,479,926. Support services, $2,591,595. Enterprise and Community Services, $1,428,870. Facilities acquisition, $1,945,424. Transfers, $225,000. Total, $12,670,815. Debt service fund, debt service, $5,580,211 for a total of $5,580,211. Capital projects fund, facilities acquisition, $34,875,799. Contingency, $2 million. Total, $36,875,799. Total appropriations, all funds, $86,014,045. Total unappropriated and reserved amounts, all funds, $35,584,738. Total adopted budget, $121,598,783. Resolution imposing the tax. Be it resolved that the following ad valorem property taxes are hereby imposed upon the assessed value of all taxable property within the district for tax year 2021 and 2022. Number one, at the rate.
Should we, hold it, should we vote on the first resolution? And then we'll vote on the second resolution. You should read the second resolution. We'll vote on it.
So then we would now go back to resolution adopting. I thought I had to read the whole thing, but okay.
Well, you do, but you will read the first resolution and do it. And then there's two resolutions. One is to adopt a budget and one is to approve appropriate taxes.
Got it. Okay. I was on a roll. Okay, so as to the resolution making appropriations with the numbers as I just went through and stated, I'll go across my screen.
No, I will move we adopt that resolution. And that was 2021-12, is that correct?
Resolution number 12, 2021-2020, where's my?
Should be actually, there should be a 13 for the one for making appropriations, but.
Yeah.
I will second that.
Or maybe we have our advisor down here below that can actually help us out.
I've seen it both ways. Most districts, I want to say, adopt it all as one resolution, but Scott, do you know how your district normally does that? You're muted.
But I honestly don't recall whether we do it with 2 or 1, so whatever the board would prefer.
So my recollection is, I think the same as Bill's, that we have separated the 2 resolutions previously for the appropriations and then also for the taxing. However, we don't have an agenda item on our action item to approve 2 separate things. And the document as it is currently constructed, in my opinion, would suffice to enact in 1 motion for the entirety. So that's discussion on that.
Finish reading and we'll vote on it as a single item and we'll make our motion for that.
Solid. All right. Resolution imposing the tax. Be it resolved that the following ad valorem property taxes are hereby imposed upon the assessed value of all taxable property within district for tax year 2021 and 2022. Number 1, at the rate of $5.0297 per thousand of assessed value for permanent tax rate. Number 2, in the amount of $2,824,085 for debt service on general obligation bonds. Resolution categorizing the tax. Be it resolved that the taxes imposed are hereby categorized for purposes of Article X1, Section 11B as subject to the education limitation, permanent tax rate tax, 5.0297 per thousand, excluded from limitation, general obligation bond debt service, $2,824,085. So I've read through the entirety.
So I will move that we adopt resolution 2021 number 12, resolution adopting the budget and making appropriations.
Second.
And for clarification, just so that we are all on the same page, and the resolution imposing the tax as 1 singular document.
Yes, that was the and making appropriations.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this? I will move in order of my screen. Ryan.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Melody.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
And Trin is aye. Okay, approve Easy Systems contract.
I move we approve Easy Systems contract as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Ryan.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Melody.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
And Trin is aye. And finally, vote for NWRESD Board Zone 4 candidate. So normally we would submit these in a little piece of paper and say this is who the board voted for. We are not in a physical space to be able to do so. So this will be a public vote unless there is concern of that.
I was just hoping we'd do comments, and because I'm wondering if there's a way that we can change the way this is being done. It would be nice to know a little bit more about the candidates and maybe have a recommendation that's actually public in our voting.
So we were given the application materials that they submitted for the position in our board packets, but I'm not sure about any further recommendations or where that would come from. Scott, do you know where that would come from, or are we just running off of the packets that were submitted?
No, that's kind of my point. I'm hoping that we can maybe send some sort of push to Northwest Regional ESD that says, hey, we love the opportunity to vote, but if we don't have more information without being investigators ourselves, it's just kind of hard to pick someone.
Yeah, it's difficult, Kelly, with that. You know, we could share what more information would be helpful for you to make the decision, but it's difficult for any of the ESD employees to advocate for one candidate over another, because if they, for example, advocated for Jim Hellman and Tony Erickson was the winner, it would be public that they're advocating for somebody else, and that doesn't necessarily go very well, especially. So as example, for myself as superintendent, I can't advocate, even though I think you guys do a fantastic job. I have to support everyone who's applying for the position because we never know who's going to be on the board, right? So it is kind of a challenging piece. Are there items that you can think of that you might want to know, or you can send that to me and I can pass it on to Northwest?
This is similar to a voter pamphlet in that you get candidate supplied information, and that's about as neutral as they get.
When is the actual vote due? When do we have to have this signed?
I think it needs to be done before July 1.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't think we had a motion just yet to go through the vote. I was just prefacing before we started that we wouldn't be able to do this in the normal manner that we would. So before we take any action on vote, no vote, or who we vote for, we do need a motion.
Are we voting for a singular candidate as a board?
Yes, I believe that's the process. The board endorses one. Like, we get one vote, right?
I move we continue on with Tony Erickson.
I would second a vote for the incumbent.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for the incumbent. We'll open it to discussion for anything further. Okay, all those in favor, Ryan?
Aye.
Bill? Melody?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
And the cat in the background says meow. Aye. Okay, upcoming meeting input. July 7 is the board organizational meeting, and I also believe that that is when we get sworn in. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes. With the circumstances that we find ourselves in, I appreciate the ability for our constituents and our parents and others to participate in our meetings, or at least monitor our meetings through our videos. But at some point we are going to need to kind of look at, especially for something like a swearing in, where that may need to be done in a different manner. So I'm not sure what that looks like at this point, and I definitely feel like the ability to continue to broadcast and do the things that we do in this manner is very functional and appreciated from the people I've spoken to. So I'm not sure what the future looks like as far as that goes, but for the swearing in, I don't know if that has to be done in person or not, but it is something that is kind of unique in our circumstances.
You know, if we could, I would like to have it in person, if everybody's comfortable with that. And I'll check in with Ed. I believe he was looking into some sort of program or video program that we can do, have these, you know, these meetings done live, and then put on YouTube for people to go back and watch. Because I've heard some good comments about folks appreciating being able to go back and maybe not catch the meeting, they had something else going, but you know, going back onto the computer and watching it at a later date.
I'd like to see us move towards more in person. It was on my agenda to bring up tonight, because I do think it's time. We just participated in some graduations and different things where we were fully participating, and I think that we can get back into that and definitely have them recorded for the interaction with the public. Even tonight, I think that we had a bit of a delay on our recording, and every time I checked it, it wasn't live yet, even then, though it said it was live. So my second bit would be that we do thank Kaden again for coming to talk to us, and I appreciate that. But I also wonder if in topics that we can provide space to have some more diversity conversation.
So Kelly, are you suggesting that we start exploring like fully in person, including having our public commenting sections in person and opening an entire space for that? Or are we going to kind of soft launch that and work through something down the road?
I think there's two ways to go about it. Right now, we have a great time to actually utilize the outdoor spaces and still be maintaining some space. But we also will be moving into September where we need to normalize something at that time. So, I mean, we don't have to do it right away. We only have one meeting in July anyway. But if we can plan for August, or if you want an in-person swearing in, there's just a lot of different things that we could, that would be three meetings essentially during the summer. And then we should have a plan for this fall where we are back in person anyway.
Am I wrong, but don't we have at least 4 meetings? In their work session? I mean, at least it was on my agenda. Not for this month, but for next month and the one afterwards. But at least it gives us time to work out all the kinks and also to find out how many people we can even allow in a room for us to have an open board meeting.
Right. Christy and I haven't had a chance to finalize trainings. And I think those are the added meetings, Melody, that you're referring to. So we will try to get that finalized tomorrow. So you guys have some dates to add to your calendar. I apologize for not getting that taken care of.
So is it reasonable for us to work towards a in-person board swearing in, still provide the electronic submission of public comments for the first July meeting, and then begin making concerted efforts towards some normalized meetings in which we can have larger groups inside of the spaces that we'll be holding?
Yeah, I think that seems pretty reasonable.
Okay. So for July 7th, then our board meeting, are we holding that at the district office? Are we holding it inside of the space at Plymouth? Where do we want to meet?
Yeah, I would say let's tentatively just stay with the district office because that may allow us to have better video feed. But if not, we can adjust. And then I'll check with Ed, see what his thoughts are too.
Okay.
You're currently checking with Ed. He just hasn't responded to you.
That's right. I keep forgetting he's right there. The lion face.
Okay, so we will still accept the public comments electronically as we have all year through the submission by 5 p.m. To the S502 email. And we will work towards an in-person gathering in which we can have people occupy that space in addition to us. Anything else that needs to be on that July 7 meeting?
Not that I can think of.
All right. I will entertain a motion to end.
Oh, end.
And I'll second it.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Stay cool this weekend. It's supposed to get somewhere in the nature of like 110.
Oh, I got a good story. When they set that record of 107, I was on the south side of Rosemary Celine's house doing the roof.
That is not helpful.
It was toasty warm, I can tell you. We drank lots of water that day.
Well, stay hydrated. Be careful. Thank you all for your incredible work this year. It has been one of the most unique and difficult years, I think, that I've certainly ever experienced. And so we will put a closure on the 2020-2021 school year, and I look forward to our next year. Good night.